Circle of life. And in this circle, there's a cycle that is this thing called life. And it has a series, a continual series of beginnings and endings, of openings and closings, of hellos and goodbyes, and yes, even of births and deaths. Maybe you've experienced some of this changing cycle of evolution that we are in, because we are certainly in one. I'll tell you right now, there is something that's why I'm so glad we have this community to come to be with, just to feel nurtured and nourished, because you, each one here, belongs right where you are. Belongs right here. So there's something very important to know about the circle. It is not static, okay? We think of a circle, okay, as continuum, but it's not static. The circle is spirit that we're speaking of. It is not continuously coming back onto itself, okay? Because like a circle would keep on going this way. This is an ever-expanding, ever-transcending, and ever-growing. It's always expanding itself. So the circle of spirit, which we talk about all the time, is not just this plain circle. It's always growing, expanding, and becoming more. And that's what we're created out of. The spiral of life is always upward. It's always upward. And I have a quote from Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. He says, "The spiral of life is upward, eternal, and progressive expansion. It is law, and there are no breaks in its continuity." No breaks. It is absolutely, powerfully present everywhere and within us. Within us. We have this power within us. Each Sunday this month, with the help of lessons from the story of Lion King, we're going to use that as our basis this month. We will explore the upward cycle and circle of life. And I am going to ask, I can't announce it yet, but I have to ask our Monday's Abundance class. So if you're in that class, then you're going to hear it for the first time, because I just thought of it 2 days ago. To make the class like 1 week longer and be able to show the Lion King, because we won't have a movie day next week. So maybe we can all meet on a Monday night. We have the room, and see the Lion King, and just really deepen in and have a discussion afterwards. So I'll let you know next week if they approve. I get their permission and the date. So anyway, there's one line in the theme of the song. You might know the song, Retta. I was going to call you last night, but I thought, no, last minute. Like, could you do this song? The line is, when we find our path, when we find our place on the path unwinding. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about, finding our path, our place on that path that is always unwinding. Remember, it doesn't stop. Okay, so this line inspired me for 2 reasons. The first one is obvious. There's a need, a deep longing within each and every one of us to find our perfect place in this world. Yes, there is. We all want to be in our perfect place, fulfilling our life's purpose. We each one have a divine purpose within us to fulfill. And so that's kind of what people are looking for, or if they found it, how to go about it. So it's all about revealing and discovering our divine purpose, and we each have a purpose. So don't think you don't have one, because you do. And the second reason is pretty obvious. It's not obvious to anyone, because it's my own personal read that I have to read. But it's my own personal quest. Having stepped out and allowed the universe to support me in the trust, in the guidance, in the faith that the law always says yes, spirit always says yes. So I'm always supported by this loving presence. And the faith to know that. The faith to know that. And as a minister at Joyful Gathering, I hold in my consciousness the success of the spiritual center, the success of me as a minister, the success of each and every member or person that visits us. I hold that in my consciousness, because this is a fabulous community, and it's only going to get more fabulous. It can only get more fabulous because this is spiraling upward, and I only do fabulous. So it's no other way, right? It's the way it works. So I have a great affirmation for us. So the affirmation is, I am capable of finding my perfect place in this world with peace and grace. So I'd like to say that together. I am capable of finding my perfect place in this world with ease and grace. Ease and grace. The grace of God moves through each and every one of us all of the time. It's up to us to open up to it. So let me tell you, my friends, there's a great power and a great peace that we come to when we find our place in this circle of life. When we find where we fit in, where we belong, there's a beautiful feeling of power and of peace, where we can just relax and let God do it. So we're going to spend a little time this morning exploring this concept. You are probably all familiar with the story of The Lion King. You've either seen the movie or, like me, the play. Okay. Well, you can see the movie on the Monday because you're in the abundance class, and hopefully you'll let us use the room. I have to take a vote. Hopefully you'll let us use the room to see the Lion King. So anyway.
No pressure here.
No pressure. I don't do pressure.
Warner, we barely
There's no, okay, so in the story, it's the story of a young lion called Simba. And Simba loses his place because of some tragic events in his life. He leaves home, and he leaves his family. He leaves everything behind and forgets that he is rightfully the king of this place, Pride Rock. He's the king of Pride Rock. He wanders for quite a while, having some interesting and even some really fun adventures along the way, but not fulfilling his life's purpose. Not fulfilling his life's purpose. And it takes Rafiki, a wise old baboon, to remind him, first, who he is, and second, of his place. Who he is and of his place. So please consider just for this morning, your wise old, not too old anyway, I'll be the Rafiki, okay? Helping to remind you, first, of who you are. Of who you are. And second, of your place. You can do an exercise in this. As I said, Simba, our hero, forgot who he was for some time. And it wasn't until he remembered who he was that he could take his proper place. Then he could take his proper place. So, who was he? Who was he? He was the son of the king. He was the son of the king, the direct heir to the kingdom. And I'm really hoping that that spiritual metaphor didn't pass you. Direct heir, as each and every one of us are the direct heir to the kingdom of the divine. Each and every one of us. You have to believe it. You have to move into having that faith and that trust that this is so. So our first step to finding our path is to remember who we are. As we wake up, and we wake up in this room, we wake up in the classes, we wake up and remember. And here it is in a nutshell. Who are we? We are the face of God. We are divine expressions of this infinite source of love. That's who we are. That's who we are in reality, in the true reality, when we shed these bodies. That essence of truth, of beauty, of the divine love of God goes on forever. That doesn't die, it stays alive. There's no death in God. And for some reason unknown to me, we come into this life and we develop this form of amnesia. We forget who we are. We do this for a reason, but when I get to the other side, I'll have to make some inquiries about that. Like, what's that about, you know? But I know it's to get all these lessons, or, you know, so we can expand even more, but it's like, let's make it a little easy sometimes, a little smoother, so we can move ahead very nicely. But all the people around us seem to have this amnesia. as well. So we're all walking around, except for the people in this room, because now we're awake, because we're talking about it. You know what I mean? We're talking about it. We're talking about it. But I think the world is changing. I really do. And those of you who are around little children will understand that the consciousness of these children coming in, most of them, is a little different. It's like they're remembering their divinity. And you can see it. If you're a teacher, if you're around these children, you can see. If you're around these little children, their consciousness is more aware of their divine self. So they don't have amnesia as much as most of us who were born into this whole realm, this human realm, like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago or so. They are more, and the people surrounding them, which would be us and other people out there who are awake. So the consciousness of the adults, us, we're the adults, our consciousness is awake. And so we're remembering, wait a minute, I'm a divine being. And so that helps foster these children who are coming in this way anyway. So I think that's the shift. That's the 2012, and it goes on much longer than 2012. That's the big shift that's taking place. We are remembering that we are divine beings, that we have power in our lives. That's the important thing to remember, that we have power, that we use all of the good that is God's Spirit. We use it. We don't create it. We use it. And we use it consciously to create in our lives. So there is power in us. We tap into it. We tap into it and allow it to unfold. Eternal and progressive expansion is the law. We talk about the law every week. And there are no breaks, as I said, in this continuity. But for some of us, we need to be reminded. We need to be, I need to be, that's why I'm in classes, that's why I'm up here, that's why I'm doing this talk, I wrote it for me. We need to be reminded all the time that we are divine expressions of this life. We really and truly are. We are divine. We are divine. Remembering who he was the first thing that Simba needed to do. And when he did that, he needed to be reminded of his rightful place. And for him, it was pretty easy because he found out that he was born, and he really knew it all along. He was born to be king. He was born to rule over this Pride Rock. And if you weren't born into royalty, I don't think anyone really is, remembering your place might not be quite as easy. But here's a spiritual truth. Here is a spiritual truth for each and every one of us. Every one of you has a perfect place, which is special and unique unto you. That is the truth. Each and every one has a special place in this human experience that is special and unique unto you. We often let this whole idea of purpose be like, life purpose be really daunting. And we think that there needs to be some divine revelation that appears to us, like, you know, like Moses in the burning bush, or a vision. You get a vision or some mystical experience. I haven't had any of those things. I've just dealt with the human realm and applied the spiritual truth and expanded from that place. I've not had a revelation. I have not seen a burning bush. So I am, as you are, unless you've had those experiences, which might be mystical. I think we all are. I think each and every one of us are mystics. Each and every one of us is mystics. You're deepen into that knowing, though. So we think though, that this message is going to be delivered from us from the outside and come in. It's going to be delivered and come in. When we really have it backward. We have it backward. And I love this part in The Secret, where the movie that we just saw that movie a couple of months ago, Neil Donald Walsh. If you remember the movie, he said, we often think there is a blackboard up in the sky, remember that? And written on it and he's talking about himself, is Neil Donald Walsh, a handsome guy, came into this life too, and there it is on the blackboard of life. And it doesn't happen that way. That would be too easy. It doesn't happen that way. We go through our trials and tribulations, our struggles, our challenges to get to the place that we need to be. But if we do it aligned with spiritual principle, that's how we expand. That's how we grow in this cycle of life. It's the truth. That's how it works. Your purpose, your place on your path is what you say it is. It's what you say it is. You get to decide. Nobody can tell you. They can tell you, but you might not believe them. It's up to each and every one to decide. My purpose in life. So, my purpose in life is what I say it is. That's what my purpose is. It's what I say it is. And there's a very powerful and extremely simple exercise in this book by Jack Canfield. It's a long book. It's a long title. The Success Principles. How to get where you are to where you want to be. And in it, he helps clarify and articulate, helps us to clarify and to articulate our place, right here in the circle of life. And it involves spending a little time in quiet reflection. You know about meditation is key. But asking yourself, we're going to do this morning, asking yourself 3 questions. And then combining these answers into one statement. And so you all have within you, you don't have this within you, but your bulletin does. A blank piece of paper that you can use. If you don't have a pen, oh well. I didn't provide extra ones.
I have one that the kids can borrow.
Okay, everyone can borrow that. So we have 3 questions. So if you would like to write this down, I thought I'd put some paper in there to write all over your bulletin. So the first question, question 1, and I'll give you some examples of these things. What are 2 of your strongest personal qualities? Got it? What are 2 of your personal qualities, strongest personal qualities? Now they could be, I'll just give you a few examples. Enthusiasm, spirituality, creativity, logic, passion, humor, musical talent. The list is endless. You know within yourself. But then I invite you to find the top 2 qualities. The top 2 qualities. Allow them to bubble up to the surface. And knowing there is no wrong or right here, think of the 2 qualities that are the strongest within you. And as long as you pick them and you possess them, they are perfect. So write down those 2 qualities. Now, what are 1 or 2 ways you enjoy expressing those qualities when interacting with others? So, enjoy and interacting with others are the key concepts here. So here could be some ideas. I'm going to give you some examples. Supporting, inspiring, entertaining, motivating, teaching, encouraging, sharing, modeling, helping. And so do the same process you did with the other 2. So find the 2 strongest qualities that help you in expressing with others, when you're interacting with others, and write them down. And question number 3 that he has in his book. What would the world look like if it were expressing perfectly right now? This is in your mind. How are people interacting with one another? What is being accomplished? And what does it feel like? What does it feel like to you? And so, yeah, sure. What would the world look like if it were expressing perfectly right now? How are people interacting with one another? What is being accomplished? And what does it feel like? And you're going to write your answer in a statement in the present tense, describing the ultimate condition. I'll get some examples. The perfect world as you see it, as you feel it. Perfect world. It's your environment. Remember, a perfect world is a joy. This is the truth. A perfect world is a joyous place to be. It really is. Expressing and feeling joy in our lives. And so here are some ideas. These could be some of the statements just to let you know. Everyone is freely expressing their own talents. Could be one. Everyone is working in harmony. Expressing unconditional love is the norm. People in the world are sharing their creativity and innovation. Just to give you some examples. All people live in freedom and dignity with an abundance of all good. Whatever you feel is your statement. Write that down. And finally, with those three questions, combine the answers. Combine those answers to the three prior questions into a single statement. And remember, we used our two qualities that we feel, and then the qualities that we share when we're interacting with others, and then also how the world would look if it were expressing perfectly in our minds right now. And then put them in one sentence for you. And you can continue with this at home too. So, using this method, Simba's statement, his statement from Lion King, could have been, this could have been his. Through leadership and strength, I protect and nurture the inhabitants of Pride Rock to live in harmony with one another. That's just an example of Simba's statement. It could be.
Can you say it again?
Simba's statement?
Yeah.
Through leadership and strength, I protect and nurture the inhabitants of Pride Rock to live in harmony with one another. You have your own statement, personal and empowering to you. Create your own. So, some statements, I'll give you some more examples. For us, these are some statements that we could use. I am here to use my creativity and enthusiasm to support and inspire others to express their talents in a harmonious and loving way. Or I use my humor and passion to motivate and encourage others to freely share their creative and innovative ideas for the highest good of all. On my perfect path, I combine my talents with my spirituality to uplift and support others in finding their place on this path, to express their freedom and abundance. And so you have this statement, write your statement of your place on the path, your path, your path. All paths lead to one. There's only one spiritual truth. And this is how you're going to express who and what you are. Who and what you are in God, in the divine. And how the divine is going to express through you what it, he, she, or it is. Because this essence, this is the unity of life that we speak of. So there's one life, and it is expressing through each and every one, even those people who we think we might not like. God is not absent in there. God is expressing in each and every one. There is no absence of the divine. Present, unified oneness. So as we become conscious of it, we can connect with it on a really deep, personal level that will empower us. These teachings, remember, are all about empowering us to live a life, to create, using the stuff, the God stuff all around us, to create a life of joy and peace and love for ourselves, Ernest Thompson's Science of Mind writes, if we would know God, we must penetrate deeply into our own nature, for here alone can we find God. If we would reveal this God to our fellow travelers on this path unwinding, we must do so by living such a God-like life that the divine essence flows through us to others. And he continues, the only way to know God is to be like God. And while this may seem discouraging in our present state of evolution, we should remember that we have but just started on an eternal ladder, whichever spirals upward. So do not, I'm still quoting Holmes, so do not be discouraged, he writes. So you have all the time necessary, starting right here. Remember, we only have the now. Can't go to the past. Future doesn't exist. We create right here, right now, on this ever-spiraling ladder. So when you go home this afternoon or whenever during the week, do this exercise again. Just do it and let it deepen. Do it in your meditation. Do it as it occurs to you, so that you get, because, you know, by connecting with this divine mind, that's how we get this inspiration. And if you don't sit down and try to connect with it, meditation is so important. If you don't connect with it, you're not going to get it. You are not going to get it. So it's spiritual practices. This is another way of connecting with a divine intelligence and wisdom that will give you all that you need to know your purpose on this path that we are all on together. So right now we're going to be doing a meditation.